Hello, 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 hello. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. I'm sitting in my car on my lunch break. Mm-mm-mm. Let me know you can hear me. I'm getting my notes out and I'm here in my car and I just want to talk to you for a little while. Just for a little while. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. You can hear me. So everything working fine. So I can take this off. I uh I battle depression, and I like to help people, and I want people to learn from my mistakes. And my biggest mistake is I hold things in when something's bothering me. That's my biggest mistake. When something's bothering me, I hold stuff in, and it's been it's been to my detriment. It's cost me friendships, jobs, relationships. It cost me a lot. Because when I'm depressed, I shut down. I shut all the way down. I isolate myself. I get off into my own little world. I'd be crying and whatever. And instead of, well, I'm better now because I see a therapist. But in the early stages of my depression, I just shut completely down. I'd go days at a time, just in a dark room, only getting up to go to the bathroom or fix myself something to eat and lay back down. No TV, no radio, no stimulation at all. And that's not healthy. But let me go back and give you a little overview. As a child, I was diagnosed as being hyperactive. And hyperactive kids fall into three groups. The first group, you're hyperactive, you grow out of it as you get older. The second group, you become a teenager or a young adult, you have ADHD. That third group, unfortunately, you eventually become bipolar. I fell into the third group. I became bipolar type 2. And I didn't know right away. So I'll get to that in a minute. But I wasn't just depressed, I was actually bipolar and didn't know it. And what triggered my depression was in college. My mother had her first scare with cancer. And that flipped me out. But what really pushed me over the edge, shortly thereafter, my college sweetheart, she moved back to Milwaukee and she never came back to school. And then my best friend left and he didn't come back. He went back to Chicago and he never came back to school. So I lost my girlfriend and my best friend, and then my mother was sick. So I didn't realize it, but that kicked my depression in, and I got really depressed. Uh, I stopped going to class for like a month. Now, mind you, hold on, I'm sitting in a parking deck. So, so anyway, I'm sitting. I didn't go to class. I'm sitting at home in my apartment. And see, this is the blessing of going to HBCU. My college professors, my academic advisor, he got in touch with all my professors. He knew something was wrong, and he came to my apartment. And I was so he gave I had they had given me all my work. They said if you make the work up, we won't fail you. They could have kicked me out of school because if you stop attending class, that's an unofficial withdrawal. But this was a black college, and they were there to help people. And I was really, really, really sad. And I had 21 hours of coursework that semester, 7 classes, and all 7 of my final exams that semester fell on the same day, on a Thursday. And I got so sick. I was rushed to the hospital because I was up studying around the clock, and I was so depressed. And I had a fever of 105. They don't know how I survived to this day with a fever that high. And I was severely dehydrated. They put like 4 or 5 IV bags in me, and I was out of it. And I had an ulcer from all the stress. So that was my first. I'm a young man at that time. I wasn't married, nothing, and that was my rough time. And I got like that because I was holding stuff in instead. People back then didn't talk about no therapy. Oh, you just pray your way out of. They put the Jesus spin on either that, either say, "Oh, the Lord will do it." Just talk to the Lord, or the other side, like, "Oh, just snap out of it." Neither one of those is healthy. If God didn't want you to see a therapist, He never would have allowed therapists to be in this world. God created therapists for a reason. Everything is not, oh, that's just Satan attack. It's not. Sometimes there's a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's not about somebody attacking you. You just have a chemical imbalance. And you take medication and you go to see a therapist so that you can be functional. You can live a better quality of life. But anyway, so as a young person, I dealt with PTSD. Mind you, I didn't know about none of this. I didn't get diagnosed with depression until I was 28. And I got misdiagnosed then at the age of 28 when I was actually bipolar and didn't know it. I said, well, because I always thought, why am I always so sad? Either I was really, really sad, or I was really, really hyped up. I was either in a manic phase or depressive phase. And most of my phases were depressive phases. But so I dealt with that. I had some PTSD as a young man. And this is why. I was in Atlanta. I was waiting for the birth of my first son. And February 12th, I'll never forget it, 1997, two of my friends got murdered. The girls they were dealing with set them up for a home invasion robbery. And one got killed instantly. They shot him in the head, but they ended up shooting him 8 more times while he was laying on the ground anyway. And the other one, he fought, and they shot him in the body like 5, 6 times. And he was alive for a little bit. He fought to live, but he just couldn't make it. And I remember the guy that they shot and they killed instantly. He was always teasing my wife. He said, "You're going to have a bad little boy like my son." And she's like, And we all laughed. And a week later, he was gone. And that little boy was there when they got murdered. And the police found him. He was on the ground covered up because his dad always taught him, if you hear gunshots, he was like 3. So if you always hear gunshots, fall down and cover your head. And that's how the police found him. They murdered that man in front of his 3-year-old son. And those bastards only got one of them got like 7 years in prison. It messed me up because that day, I was gonna. Oh, I'm so sick of this door. Sorry about that. So what happened was I begged them. I said, man, don't move over there with them girls. I said, I just got a bad feeling. I said, I just got a bad feeling about this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And they hadn't been there 2 weeks. Oh, hold on. I'm about to take the Wi-Fi off. That's why I figured out what it was. Hold on. Crap. So what happened was the day I was supposed to go by those guys' house, I got to like the on ramp, the ramp to go hit the freeway to go to their house. And I was so tired that day. I said, you know what, I'll go tomorrow. And it was at a fork in the road. And I took the left lane, drove home because I was like 30 miles away from home. And I was like tired. I had a little raggedy warehouse job at the time. And I didn't go. And I was asleep next to my wife, rubbing her belly, drifted off to sleep. Phone rings, and it was my boy's girlfriend. And she told me that they had been murdered. And I remember just jumping up screaming. I I just lost it because had I gone to the right and went to their apartment, I would have been there when all the shooting was going on. And now, mind you, I had a gun, but there's no guarantee because there was 5 of those guys and it was only 2 of them. And the guy that did the trigger man, he had just got out of prison like a month before. But so I would have been there when all the shooting was going on. That's what I'm saying to you. And there's a strong possibility I either would have ended up in hurt or dead just like them, and my son would have never seen me. And I dealt with what you call survivor's guilt for many years, and I didn't know what it was until I got into therapy. Um, but I dealt with that for, I'd say, at least 5 years. Feeling guilty about not being there to help them. But it was their time to go, and I had no control over that. But in my mind at that time, I should have done something. I should have been there. I dealt with a lot of guilt. So my son was born. That happened in February, 2 days before Valentine's Day. And my son was born in May. So I'm in the hospital, proud dad. The nurse comes in, she checking my son. She puts the stethoscope on him. He's making all kind of noise because that thing was cold. And she said, you poor baby. You fought to bring yourself into this cold world. And when that lady said that, I lost it because I felt so much guilt about my son being born into this world because of all the trauma and stuff I dealt with. And then here I am bringing somebody into this world. And I just felt horrible. My son was born on a Wednesday. That following Tuesday, I went to my first therapy session. They did a little evaluation, say, oh, you're depressed, start giving me meds and whatever. But none of that stuff was working. And I kept trying to say, hey, this ain't working. The only thing that was working was the sleeping pills that they gave me to go to bed at night. But then I found out I couldn't take those anymore because some people were having nightmares. I couldn't take Ambien because Ambien made me have nightmares real bad. So I ended up taking something called Neurontin. That worked for a little while, but the medication for the depression wasn't working. But They did teach me how to meditate and do breathing exercises, and instead of getting agitated when I feel myself getting agitated, get up. Don't sit in a dark room. Don't shut yourself off. Because I will get up in a minute and walk across the room for the heck of it when I change my scenery. So if I'm feeling bad, I have stood outside in the cold, and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I like the cold weather. That's why I moved to Ohio. I got sick of the heat down south. Um, I'll be outside in the snow just walking around like a big kid playing because it soothes me. It relaxes me. Okay, I'm going to fix those ads, though. I'm gonna just take them off. But that's how I make my money. Um, I'm going to just, check them out. But um, where was I? But yeah, that really triggered me. And I ended up in therapy. But fast forward a few years later, I started seeing a black therapist, a man, and he started asking me a bunch of questions because I was telling him how frustrated I was, and he said, "You're not depressed. You are bipolar type 2." And I said, "Huh?" I said, "Oh God," because you hear all the stereotypes in the black community, jokes. Oh, the weather's acting real bipolar today. Oh, my phone's acting bipolar. All the bipolar jokes, and that's offensive to somebody like me that battles that bipolar. So it hurts. So I was worried about the stigma of being bipolar. I didn't want people to treat me differently. Um, one of my girlfriends one time, she found out, the girlfriend I had at the time, and whenever I would get upset, you need to take your medicine, da 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 da. And so she started treating me that way, and it bothered me. I'm like, every time I get mad, it's not because of my condition, it's because you did something stupid that made me mad. You need to calm down. You need to take your medicine. So she would weaponize my condition to attack me. Oh, my friend got murdered the day I was supposed to go to his house. Instead of going over there, I just went straight home. And because had I gone to his house, I would have been there when the shootings happened, and I would have probably been the third person killed that day. And I had serious guilt about not going. And I had what they call survivor's guilt. So that's what happened with that. Uh, but the PTSD thing was a lot of stuff was going on. Uh, Separated from my wife. She took the kids, went back to Florida. So it just hurt me not being able to see my kids every day. I went into a real bad depression. Then on top of that, while all that was going on, I was a school teacher, and I got falsely accused of doing something to one of the students, and I was facing 60 years in prison for something I didn't do. I ended up spending 33 days in jail, and they offered me what's called a first offender status, you know, and I took it because I was a special ed teacher, and they was gonna bring all them kids in there. And once one kid said, "Yeah, he did it," I didn't do it, and they saw it on videotape that I didn't. But they still brought me to trial. I'll tell you how God worked. Everybody that had something to do with that either lost their job or they lost their life. The superintendent of schools, she called Paul Howard, who was the district attorney before the lady that's in Atlanta now. And Paul Howard is Dwight Howard, the NBA basketball player's uncle. And she told that man, throw the book at him. Originally, they had charged me with misdemeanors, which would have been probation and a fine, anger management, resign from my job, gone with my life. But they bumped it up to felonies. And the judge in my case, I don't know if you remember back in Atlanta, this guy overpowered a guard. He killed the judge. He killed like 4 people while he was on the run. Well, that was that judge. That was, and hold on, they about to move out the debt. But yeah. So to this day, I still send that man money. I put money on his books and he in prison. He ain't ever getting out. I don't know if he on death row or not, but I make sure he get $5 every month from me. I know that's dirty, but that's how much anger. I was filled with anger. You got to realize everything. I was just like a pressure cooker. I was just full of anger then. And I lost my job. I lost my house. My kids were taken away from me. My marriage was over. I was sleeping in my car, sleeping in abandoned houses, sleeping in people on people's couches. I was washing up in the gas station and spending all day in the library to avoid the heat in Atlanta or either to avoid the cold. Um, I'm so sick of this damn garage door opening. Whoever's in it, get in here and sit down. Same lady every day when I'm on my lunch break. So I went through all of that, lost everything. So-called friends said, "Man, uh, don't call no more," because my face was all over every news channel in Atlanta. People stopped calling me. People told me I wasn't welcome at their house no more. Uh, I spent 33 days in jail. The first 21 were in solitary confinement. And by the grace of God, they offered me a first offender status, which means I wasn't saying I was guilty, but they put me on 5 years probation, $1,000 fine, anger management, and that if I stayed out of trouble for the 5 year probation, at the end of that, I could get my record expunged and go on with my life. But they demanded that I resign from teaching. So I took the deal because I didn't want to risk going to jail for 60 years. I was innocent, but I had two small children, and Georgia had at the time what they called the 7 deadly sins crime: aggravated assault, murder, rape, and a couple other charges. Which means before you could even come up for parole, you had to do 85% of the sentence. And 85% of that 60-year sentence would have been 43 and a half years, something like that. And I was like, I would have never seen my kids. Next time I saw my kids, well, basically, I would have died in prison. I'd still be in prison right now. Um, yeah, my kids would have been in their 40s when I got out. Earl, Malik would have been 40. Daryl would have been 46, somewhere in there. I don't know. They'd have been early 40s. They were small children. And I'm like, no, I can't risk that. And I had people, oh man, you need to fight. I said, but yeah, you ain't the one got to do the time if I get convicted. I do, not you. So I took the deal, and I regretted it. I regret it to this day. It took everything. John Lewis spoke to the governor on my behalf, and I got my record clean. And as soon as that happened, it took me some years. Now it was beyond 5 years, you know. As soon as I got them papers in my hand and my record was clean, I left Georgia. I went to New York City. And I swore I never set foot to live in Georgia ever again. And another traumatic experience happened to me when I was in New Jersey. I'm just going to talk my way through it. This guy, we were driving in New Jersey going back toward New York City. And this old man, he was my daddy's age. He was at the top of this bridge in a place called Perth Amboy, New Jersey, South Perth Amboy, something like that. And he had got some bad news. He had the doctors had given him so much time to live. His wife had just died, and he had her medical bills, and his house had got foreclosed on. Old man, you know, took out second mortgage trying to cover his wife's medical bills. So everything came down on him at one time. So he walked to the top of this bridge, and as we were driving up it, he jumped off into the ocean. I remember it vividly. He had on a white dress shirt, black shoes, khaki pants, and silver hair. Old man got up to the top of the bridge. I was like, why is this man just sitting right there like that with his leg dangling off? And then just like that, he leaped over. They never found his body. And I was so traumatized at that time. I went back, I was typing on Facebook. I just saw a man kill himself, on this such and such bridge. And that man's son contacted me and said, well, the man that jumped, what did he have on? And thank you, Sheraldi. And the young man asked me, said, what did he have on? Because my father's missing. And he told me, I said, what did your father have when he left the house? They told me it was the exact same thing. I didn't have the heart to tell this man that I saw his daddy leap to his death. And all these years, I've tried to block that out of my head. I've not done a good job. I tried to suppress that memory of seeing that man leap to his death. And I remember calling my father and telling him how much I loved him because he was the same age as my dad at the time. And I left New York, moved to Ohio, because my oldest two boys was acting crazy. So I came here to straighten them out. And I was supposed to go back to New York because I was living in New York and acting and working. But I got here and fell in love with the place, loved being around my children every day, so I stayed. So I got still seeing a therapist, still taking care of myself, doing better. But then I had something very traumatic happen. And for those of you who follow me, you know what happened. Queenie, they gave me a 5-year probation. At the end of that probation, I could apply to have my record expunged, and that's what I did. So I got here and ended up getting in a legal battle with a guy who was accused of doing some bad things to some children. And he sued me because I interviewed them on my show. And during that time when that happened, this was during COVID. I got COVID. My daddy died in 2021 while I was going through this lawsuit. My son graduated high school May 21st of 2021, I'm sorry. And my dad died 9 days later after my son graduated from high school, my youngest child. And shortly thereafter, I got COVID after I buried my dad. Then I had a stroke, what they call a TIA, a mini stroke. A stroke is a stroke to me, but I had a stroke. I was dealing with these legal battles, being harassed by people night and day, putting my pictures of my house on the internet, pictures of my underage kids. My family members were getting harassing calls, putting my phone number and address on the internet, where I work, all that kind of stuff. And then I started having heart problems. I had come find out last summer I had a procedure done. I had a 40% blockage in my heart because I've dealt with the harassment nonstop for the last 5 years. Well, I lost both of my parents 18 months apart. And these idiots were saying they prayed for my daddy to die. They harassed my mother. My mother, both of my parents had beginning stage of dementia, but they recorded my mother. They called her, recorded her, played her on YouTube. And hey, Lynn, hey, everybody. I'm sorry. I had a lot going on, and I just wanted to share my story. Hopefully it helps somebody. So I had that mini stroke. I had those heart issues, and I collapsed in the courtroom because we were still fighting this court issue, and I collapsed. And that's how I found out about my heart last year. And they went online. They were celebrating, he's about to die, and the judge saw it. And I ended up getting 2 lawyers for free because I was defending myself because I didn't have the money to fight this lawsuit. And judge saw what happened. He didn't like it. He gave me I had 2 court-appointed lawyers, and they 2 of the finest lawyers in the city. And that's what made this case go away. Thank you, Queenie. And in between all these depressive states and PTSD and crying myself to sleep at night, I was in and out of bad relationships. People would get frustrated with me because when I get depressed, I would shut down. That was my defense mechanism. When something was bothering me, I would pull away. And you can't do that with a woman. They want you to let them in. What's going on? Talk about your feelings. And as a man, I wasn't brought up doing that. Men, you talk, be tough, don't show no emotion. And then when a woman wants you to go against all that, it's very stressful. It's stressful enough if you're not battling depression, but when you battling depression, it's just magnified. And that's what I was dealing with. So a lot of women will break up with me. Like this past weekend, I couldn't even go anywhere. Um, I got so distraught last week, I had to get a quick visit to my therapist. I wasn't even scheduled. I said, you got to fit me in. What would have been my mother's 89th birthday was Friday. And then Father's Day. This is the fourth Father's Day without my daddy. And then this is the second birthday that my mother's not here. And I just lost it. So from Friday when I got out of work until yesterday, I didn't come out the house other than to go to my part-time job. I didn't come out the house. As soon as my work was up, I went home. And that caused a lot of problems. A lot of people got mad with me, because I wasn't coming around, I wasn't socialized. I just wasn't feeling it. I was hurt, you know. And then it really got bad because, Father's Day, I got a lot of well wishes because people knew what I was going through. But then some of the people I expected to hear from, I didn't hear from. And that hurt. They know how bad I was feeling. I'm still grieving. My friend Marshall will tell you, I was dealing with all this stuff and I never got to grieve properly. And then one day I just had a full breakdown and I just collapsed on the floor and put my face to the floor and I was just wailing. Because he said, Daryl, you've never grieved because you've been busy night and day fighting these people harassing you and you never got to grieve the loss of your parents. And it hit me like a fist. And that's what happened. But I'm doing this video for one reason. Learn from my mistakes. I'm telling you what I tell my children. Forget about all the stuff you see me doing right and that's good. Learn from the mistakes. If you look at my mistakes and say, hey, I'm not going to do that, you'll be a lot better off in life. If you're hurting, you need to have a small group of friends that you can confide in. You need to have at least one confidant, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can pray with, and have them pray for you, and get you a good therapist. And if they recommend medication, get on those medications because your serotonin levels is what's called being out of balance is what's causing the depression. Get those serotonin levels in balance. See your therapist. Get you a good prayer partner, a good person that's going to hold you accountable, somebody that you can talk to and vent when you need to, and they can do the same with you. My dad used to always say, you can count your friends on one hand and still have fingers left. Now, you have a lot of people that you are cool with and that you associate with, but your true circle of friends is less than 5 people. Jesus had 12 disciples, and some of them betrayed him and denied him. So if that happened to Jesus, you know it'll happen to you. Now, even amongst the 12 disciples, Jesus loved all of them, but he had 2 or 3 that were closer than the rest of them. Oh, you're welcome, Sheralda, man. And that I have what you wrote about my mama on my desk upstairs. That has really given me comfort, and I couldn't thank you enough for that. For y'all, Sheralda, I've known Sheralda. How long have I known you? Since I was 6, 7 years old. Because his uncle is my brother-in-law. His uncle married my sister, and I've known him since I was a child. And yeah, we go back that far. Next Wednesday, I'll be 56. I've known him almost 49 years. 49 years this year. I've known you. I've known him that long. Yeah, that's a long time. Yep, 49 years. Gosh, man, just thought about that. I've known you 49 years, brother. 49 years. Wow. I've known all of y'all. Kit, God rest his soul. Monique, Bernaderia. All of y'all, man. Gosh, that is something crazy. We grew up and started having families and everything, man. That's wild. Some of them got grandkids. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. That's something. That's a blessing. But learn from me. Don't shut down. If you feeling bad, pick up the phone. If they don't answer, call somebody else. Keep calling until you find somebody. Somebody that you can trust. Because everybody you can't give you a listening ear because they listen to go tell somebody else. So know your circle. Know your circle. And decompress. I started taking martial arts. Uh, I got into acting and filmmaking. Get healthy alternatives to sitting around. Don't self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. Find healthy outlets. Ride a bike. Go for a walk. Painting, poetry, whatever it is that you enjoy doing that relaxes you, that's constructive. Do that. Don't do what I did. Don't sit around locked away. I wasted so much time doing that. I've lost so many relationships over the years because of that. All right, Miss Yellow, I'm doing well. And don't mess up like I did. I started taking martial arts and I had to stop recently, but I just got back in contact with my instructor because of the heart issue. Shoot, I'd have been under the knife 3 times since I started martial arts. So I had to stop for a minute while I recovered because I couldn't do anything that was going to put a strain on my heart. Then because of all this weight I lost, I had skin removal in my stomach. And then, so I had to let that heal. And then recently I was getting ready to go back and then I had my gallbladder removed. So I was like, oh, here we go again. But now I've gotten the green light. I can go back in there and put my gi on and go back to doing what I do. And anytime you feel you got depression coming on, stop what you're doing right then. Whatever it is, wherever you are, go outside, get you some sunlight. We need sunlight. It affects our mood in a positive way. Get some sun. Get around children. Get around puppies or dogs and babies. That happy birthday, Betty. Mine's next Wednesday. Happy birthday. And everybody knows me. I love my little doggy. And when my mama passed, I brought their dog back with me. And unfortunately, I had to put her down about a month and a half ago because she had tumors in the brain. And that was my last little connection to my parents that I had on earth. And it broke my heart. But I had to do the right thing and put her down because she was suffering. And one of my coworkers upstairs, she saw me how sad I was about it. And she had a friend at her last job that rescues dogs. Thank you, Betty. And she said, well, she's looking for a home for this little dog. It's a Maltese and a Yorkie mix. And she showed me that picture of that dog. I said, I'll take her right now. So she said, no, you got to wait till Sunday because she's coming back and she's getting everything ready. I got a dog, a little dog named Mama. And I got that dog right before Mother's Day, a week before Mother's Day. How ironic is that? I get a little dog named Mama right before Mother's Day. So that helped me get through Mother's Day. But then the holidays messed me up. My dad's birthday, April 29th, Mother's Day, and then my mom's birthday, then Father's Day. So between my dad's birthday and Father's Day, I'm just like, my mood was just horrible. So, but I was proactive this time. I started going to the therapist. But the closer my mother's birthday got, because everybody knows me now, I'm a mama's boy. The closer my mother's birthday got and Father's Day, I knew it was going to be a double whammy. And I just shut down. I got back into my old habit. And the couple of weeks leading up to my mother's birthday and Father's Day, I just started shutting down gradually. And I made people mad that really loved me. And hopefully I can make amends for that. Yeah, she do. And I love that little girl. But as soon as I get home, that dog does not let me out of her sight because I rescued her. And that dog does not let me out of her sight. If I go to the bathroom, she coming. If I don't let her in there, she'll scratch the door and cry until I open the door. And she watches me shave. She watches me in the shower. She watches me whatever. And she will not leave my side. If I go to another room, she's following me. If I'm online, she's sitting in my lap looking around. She will not let me out of her sight. She sleeps across me. She'll start out sleeping next to me, but somehow during the night, she'll lay her head so her ear is on my heart. Or either I'm sitting there watching TV, or she's up here looking around. If I'm in the car and I got her in the car, she sits behind my neck. She does not. She's my little cotton ball shadow. But I'm not gonna hold y'all long because I just wanted to share my story with you. And as Jay-Z said, my pain, your entertainment. But yeah, that's what since I was a child, that's what I've dealt with. That's what I've dealt with. And depression is not a one-time, magic pill, everything's gonna be all right situation. You deal with this daily. You have to get up every day with your mindset that I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm going to keep pushing forward. It's literally, when I first got diagnosed, it was a minute at a time, then an hour at a time, then a day at a time. And that's where I am, one day at a time. But it took me a lot of therapy, a lot of prayer, and a lot of tears to get here. So never judge a book by its cover. You don't know what somebody's been through unless they tell you. And the stuff that I just told you, that's the stuff that I can tell you without crying. It used to be a time when I was just boo-hoo crying. All the stuff I just told you, I just lost it. But the therapy has helped me address those issues. But it's stuff that still hurts me, I can't even talk about unless I'm with my therapist. Not because I'm trying to hide anything, but because it's so painful. It's that painful. And yeah, it's rough. So don't get discouraged because of what's going on in your life. Get yourself a good therapist. Get you an accountability partner. They hold you accountable, you hold them accountable. They pray for you, you pray for them, you pray together. You need to vent, they need to vent, you're there for each other. And find you constructive, positive outlets to deal with your anger and your sadness. Now, because I do martial arts in my garage, I got a punching bag. I got weights. I enjoy cigars. Cigars relax me. This is why. People are like, oh, you smoke cigars. Cigars, not cigarettes, but cigars. This right here is a natural source of lithium. Lithium balances the brain chemicals. If you cigars, drinking lemon water, eating green leafy vegetables like kale and spinach balances your brain chemicals, the serotonin levels. That keeps you from getting depressed. It stabilizes your mood naturally. That's why I smoke the cigars, because after I smoke the cigars, it mellows me out. Now, I don't knock anybody that do edibles or smoke marijuana for their depression. I just know I can't do that because of the line of work I'm in. And I don't want to lose my job because I got a nice job. Because if they randomly, well, they don't randomly drug test here, but if I were to go get a job somewhere else in the same field, they might drug test, and I don't need that in my system. So I smoke cigars and I relax. And I got 14 more minutes before I had to be back at my desk. And I get off at 5:15. I'm not worried about you, Lynn. I just don't let y'all see me eat. I'm not worried about you. I actually, believe it or not, I love cabbage. I love collard greens. I don't like kale. Spinach is all right if I have some mozzarella cheese in it. But I prefer cabbage and collard greens because I'm from down south. I'm not a big salad person, no. Uh, but I do like, yeah, I like chicken. I'm from the south. I like chicken wings. But really lately, I haven't really ate that much meat because meat is high now. Eggs and meat and shoot milk. I haven't been doing the Burger King either because it's high. Peanut butter and jelly. Most times just peanut butter. I don't even like jelly because the jelly has me all hyped and jittery. But yeah, I really like Chinese food. Hmm. Well, I drink a lot of lemon water and smoke cigars. And I can tell the difference when I do both of those because I calm down. Like right now, smoking this cigar got me calm. Because I got up this morning. I was upset yesterday at work because of stuff that happened over the weekend. And I didn't smoke yesterday. I just went home. Well, I did. I smoked a little small stubby cigar called a nub. Um, but I intentionally did not stay in the house. I got up and I moved around. And but today I was like, oh no, I smoked a cigar going to work, and now I'm sitting there at lunchtime smoking the same one. I just relit it. Hmm. Chicken fried rice. I'm so tired of you, Lynn. Whoppers 2 for $1. I'm so tired of y'all picking with me. See, this is what I have to deal with. But yeah, it's one day at a time for me. And I know why I got like this. When my mother was pregnant with me, her mother was dying. She had 2 small children, my brother and my sister. My brother was like 11 or 12. My sister was 10 going on 11, whatever the case may be. And my dad was in Vietnam. Now, you got a husband on the other side of the world in Vietnam. Don't know if he's going to live or die. Then you got 2 small children. You're pregnant with your third. You can't drive a car. The only reason my mother ever learned how to drive a car, she was pregnant with me. She started taking driver's ed courses. I know, Lynn, and I love you for it. And so my mom learned how to drive a car because she was pregnant with me, and my dad was in Vietnam. That's a lot going on. Your husband in war, you got 2 small children, your mama dying, and you pregnant with your third child. So all of that stress and depression while she was carrying me got down into me. And I was born hyperactive. Got diagnosed with that when I was 5. And it made for a tough childhood because back in them days, oh, you ain't nothing wrong with you. You just need to put something on that child behind. He needs to sit down. But you couldn't sit down because you're hyperactive. You couldn't sit still. You were always fidgeting. I was hyperactive. But they didn't know nothing about that back then. They were giving kids Ritalin. And I remember I had a teacher, she was so mean. That's when you could take medicine at school. Now you have to turn it in at the office, go to the office and take it. But she would embarrass me in front of the class Daryl, it's time to take your crazy pill so you'll act right. And she would make me take the, she would make me open my mouth, and she would plop the pill in my mouth in front of the whole class. And she said, hold your tongue up so I can make sure you took it. Like I was in jail or something. It was humiliating. It was so humiliating. But I had to deal with that for a whole year. I was in the first grade. It was hell. You hear me? It was pure hell. But yeah, I thank you for listening. I hope me sharing my experiences will help somebody, because I don't want to see anybody depressed. Um, but what really hurt me last year, I told y'all about the story when I was in New Jersey. I got to share this. That's what really bummed me out this past weekend. This was the third thing. When I saw that man commit suicide in Jersey, and I suppressed it all these years. Last year, a member of my cigar club, 45 years old, she was struggling with depression and psychotic breaks. And I talked to her on a Sunday, because she had got up in the middle of the night, left her husband and her child, and drove all the way to Atlanta with no sleep or nothing. Didn't stop, didn't stay the night, didn't do that, and turned around and drove all the way back. And they were looking for her, and they found her in Dayton, Ohio. They got her in a facility, they got her to help, and she was all upset about it, all embarrassed. When she was out of her mind, she got into it with a lot of people. But anyway, she told me, because I reached out to her husband, I said, hey, let me talk to her. I said, I know what she's going through, because I battled, depression and what have you. And she said, man, you do. He said, man, you do that for me. I said, man, of course. I said, she can call me day or night. Give her my number. I talked to her for 3.5 hours that Sunday. I talked to her into going out to the lake and watching the sunset. She had her first therapy appointment that next Monday, and it overwhelmed her. And I kept trying to call and find out what was going on. Didn't hear from her. Then her husband answered that, well, she's okay. That was Tuesday. She's okay. She just rested. She got up in the middle of the night while they were still asleep, drove to the bridge around the corner from where I am right now. Every time I come through here, I get depressed. And she leaped off the bridge to her death. And he called me. And when that happened to her, those thoughts that I suppressed about that man jumping to his death came back. And for the last year, that made me get back into therapy real hard. Every day I come to work, I think about her, and I'm near, if I was upstairs, I could look over and see that bridge where she leaped to her death. But he called me that Wednesday around 1 o'clock. I was driving down to Akron because I had to notarize some documents, because that's what I do in my side hustle. And he called me. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? Da, 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 da. How is she doing? He said, Daryl, I just want to say thank you for all you did for my wife. And I didn't pick up on it at first that he was talking about her in past tense. But he said she killed herself this morning at 8:30. She jumped off the bridge. And I was like, it was like somebody reached in my chest and pulled my heart out. I was on the interstate, and I didn't even look back. I swerved across because I was on the far left lane. I swerved all the way across 4 lanes of highway and up to the side of the road, and I just sat there crying for 45 minutes. And I started texting people. I said, help me. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So people started calling me in my cigar club. And I still, mind you, I had to keep driving to Akron because I had a job to do. But I had to get myself together. I cried all the way there, and I cried all the way back. But luckily, people in my cigar club would not let me off the phone. They got a group conversation, and they talked me all the way back. And then after I got back, I got on the phone with Christine, Lynn, my friend Marcellus, my friend Tracy. I just started talking to people. And because she got hurt and broke up so bad, her husband had to cremate her. So he's now buried his wife. He's raising his daughter by himself. And I was just so filled with anger and guilt because I had talked to her and I thought I had reached her. And her husband is the one that kept me going. He said, Daryl, it wasn't your fault. You did all you could do. He said, I will tell everybody what you did for me and my wife. You did everything you could do, but she just had it in her mind that she didn't want to be here no more. But I still had that guilt. I'm like, I could have, maybe if I'd have said this or I did this, instead of talking on the phone, I should have went out to the lake with her. And I was just saying all that to him and like, Daryl, there's nothing you could have done. She got up while me and our daughter was asleep. She knew that that's what she was going to do. People tried to talk off the bridge. The cars were stopped. I didn't realize what was going on that morning. It was her. And when we went to the service, the memorial service, and it was like it was unreal. It was like I was in a fog. And that's what I've been dealing with the past year. So, I'm sitting there grieving the loss of my mother and father, dealing with all these health issues, and then somebody like that, close to me like that, and she kills herself. And in the cigar lounge where I work part-time, they have a big collage of her and all the people she took pictures with. I'm on there too, and the cigar club, and she told me everything. Mind you, for those who are in the cigar club that I know you listening or going to watch, she told me every mean thing that somebody said to her that pushed her over the edge. Because, see, she had lost her dad. Her grandfather who had raised her died, and she lost her job the same month. So it just pushed her all the way over the edge. And then she had a break from reality. And so she said some things to some people. But if you knew that she was not in her right mind, why would you get angry with her? Why would you be antagonistic with her? And why would you say mean stuff back to her that you know is going to push her even further over the edge? And it eventually led to her taking her own life. And I said, well, I stood up, and out of respect for other people and her husband, I didn't confront those people. But every time I see them, I just look at them, and I'm like, you better hope I never see you out on the street. Because in the cigar lounge, I let it go. And that picture of her, I can never look at that picture. Whenever I'm walking around in the lounge and I walk past that picture, I'll look away. I can't even look at that picture. And just like when my mother and father died, my son, he keeps my mother's obituary in his on his dashboard, and I can't go on that side of his car because I know my mom's gone, I know my dad's gone, but I just can't be looking at her obituary every time I walk past his car. Now, mind you, I was the one that wrote both of my parents' obituaries because they left that responsibility to me when they were still alive. To lay out their clothes, to write their obituary, to make sure the bills is paid for the funeral. Like Marcella said, I never got a chance to grieve because I was just out of it. But in the last year or so, everything that I've been suppressing and pushing away has come in my face. Because when I got sick with the condition in my heart and I had that procedure, I had to sit still. And when I did that, I had to face everything that I was running away from. But then recently, that old habit of me suppressing stuff came back. And it was tough. It was very, very tough. But I didn't want to bring y'all down, but I just wanted to share. You never know what the person next to you is going through. Don't talk about somebody, talk to them. Because you don't know. A kind word from you might be the difference between them living or dying. I have never thought about suicide, and I'm being honest about that, and I always tell people, I've never thought about suicide, but I have woke up and been angry with God because he woke me up instead of letting me die in my sleep. And I know how it feels to be that low. And I know how bad it feels to be hurting so bad you open your mouth to holler or cry, and no sound comes out. So, yeah, if you get nothing else, reach out to the person next to you. You might be the one thing that stands between them taking their life or giving up and losing hope. Y'all be good. I've got to go back to work now. Take it easy.